Welcome to the Savvy Dentist Podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Savvy Dentist Podcast, the show where great dentistry meets great business. It's Jesse Green here, as always, at the control panels. And today we're joined by our friend Josh Rimmington from the JR Marketing Group. And we have a great conversation about getting your marketing right in 2020. We do cover a heap of territory. There's lots of pearls of wisdom that Josh shares with us. You know, how to assess your marketing, making sure your strategy in your marketing is aligned with your business strategy, and a heap of other things. We even talk about how Josh got into the ring recently for a kickboxing fight and what lessons he took away from that, which are really salient and important lessons, not just for boxing, but for life and business as well. So there's a lot of things in this podcast, and it's a great fun episode. And as always, I'd suggest you have a pen and paper handy because you're going to want to take some notes. As always, we've got a heap of things lined up for you in the coming weeks, but you may or may not have heard we've launched our Savvy Dentist Academy. It's coaching on the go. It's access to our tools, our resources, the things that we use to help clients take their practice to the next level. It's about frameworks. It's about systems. It's about everything you need to make sure your practice really kicks up a gear. So if you want to find out more about that, head across to savvydentistacademy.com, check it out, and come and join us. We're super proud of it, and we know that this is going to help you achieve your goals in 2020 and beyond. But without any further ado, here's Josh Rimmington. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. Josh Rimmington, welcome back to the Savvy Dentist Podcast. It's great to have you here, my friend. How's things with you?
Thank you so much for having me again. And I am awesome at the moment. It's a hot, sunny Queensland day and enjoying it all.
Hot and sunny Queensland day seems to be like, isn't any other kind of day in Queensland? Yeah, beautiful one day, perfect the next.
Yeah, I know you got to enjoy it last week when I saw you, and it's similar sort of weather at the moment, nice and sunny.
Yeah, well, actually, interestingly enough, my wife's in Brisbane at the moment as I record this, so we've been doing the weather forecast from Brisbane versus Canberra, and I tell you what, I'm feeling a little pang of envy at the moment. But anyway, that's all cool. And it was great to catch up with you last week, mate, and there's been a lot of things happening in your life over the last year. And the reason I wanted to ask you to come back onto the show is A, because the last episode we did was so well received, and B, you and I get to talk relatively frequently, and there's so much new stuff, so many things happening. There's also lots of clutter, but I do think before we do get into the marketing, which I know is what you're known for, and I know that's what we're really going to be talking about, but I can't not mention your kickboxing, mate, because a month or two ago, you got into the ring, you'd had lots of training prior to that. And firstly, my congratulations to you, mate, because I think it takes a big lot of kahunas to get into a ring, to get into a physical fight. And so well done. I'm curious to ask you, firstly, what did you learn from that experience? And secondly, how did it feel when you stepped into the ring? Were you wearing the brown undies?
Thanks for that. Yeah, it certainly was a scary experience. So probably the biggest lesson I learned from it was something that I actually have learned on and off over the years again and again, is that if I really set my mind to something, I can achieve it. So I think so often I tell myself mentally that I can't do something or there's a reason behind it. But if I actually plan it, look at what I want to do, I can actually achieve it. And that was the biggest thing, was just actually getting in the ring, because it was a commitment, and it was a big commitment. So at the time, I knew I wanted to do something, and I'd trained different martial arts on and off over the years, but I'd never really taken that big commitment of saying, I'll take a fight. So it was, okay, I want to have an end goal in mind. So I said, okay, yep, I'll take a fight. And I took it against a heavier opponent. It was about sort of 6 weeks of training. And I knew, okay, that's going to be a big ask to sort of jump in the ring for the first time against a stronger, heavier, younger opponent. But I wanted to challenge myself. So I had I've got friends in the industry and all that. So I had a lot of people telling me, oh, you're silly. You should be going against someone that's your own age, your own weight. You sort of do all that sort of stuff. Make sure it's an easy fight for your first fight. But I'm like, well, if I'm going to get into a fight, I'm going to make sure it's actually a fight. It's like, to me, a fight is actually something that's meant to be tough. It's not meant to be something easy. So it really was that. And the experience on the night was a whirlwind. It was sort of like the same experience like I've had when I've got on stage and talked to people and everything else. Once you get up there and all that, you sort of forget everything that you've been learning and everything else, or that you've been practicing, and you sort of just instinct kicks in and you just basically do your best at what you're doing at the time. And once it's over, you've got that sort of drop of an adrenaline and sort of say, wow, I actually did it. So it is a pretty incredible experience. It certainly taught me a lot about myself. I can't remember a lot about actually once I was in there and everything else, but from what everyone else told me and everything else, and everyone said about how well I did and everything else. But yeah, it was more about the experience, and it was more about even just getting to that night and not saying, oh, I can't do it, or making an excuse of why I can't do. I'm too busy with work. I'm too busy with the kids. I can't do this. I wanted to commit to training every day of the week and actually getting in there at the end. And that was the end goal, because, yeah, I wanted to see it through.
Mate, I think that's phenomenal. And I think the moment you stepped through the ropes into the ring, I think is an incredible achievement. And I don't know many people who have done that. And I think it takes a huge amount of courage, huge amount of determination, a huge amount of everything. What I'm really wanting to understand, and I think this is really interesting because I don't watch a lot of fights. It's just a thing for me. I just feel a bit queasy watching people beat the snot out of each other, especially that octagon stuff where, oh my God, that's just horrible. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But what I've always tried to understand, having watched some boxing matches over the years, is how do people maintain a rational, logical, strategic mind when you've got someone who's trying to hit you? And there's that great saying that Mike Tyson, I think, had, is that everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So how did you remain analytical? How did you remain focused? How did you remain on top of things while you've got an opponent coming at you?
Yeah, I probably didn't. So once I got in there, I probably didn't do
Fair
it
enough.
as well. The whole plan sort of went out the window, because unfortunately you can plan and you can sort of train for it, but you don't know what they're going to come at you with. You don't know what they're going to throw. And the guy I fought came out fast. He came out furious and he threw everything at me. So I sort of
he had a long reach too.
Yeah, he was seeing. And my coach had sort of said, like, he had seen guys coming from the same gym on the same night that fought beforehand. And he said, they're just coming out hard. They're coming out like they're trying to finish it straight away. So he said, you'll probably have to go in there and take a bit first. And I did. I had to take a lot of punches and I had to take a lot of bits. And then I sort of had to adapt to what was getting thrown at me, because I'm shorter. I wasn't as heavy. So there was a lot against me. So I had to adapt. So I had to throw a lot of punches that I probably hadn't been training for, and a lot of spinning back elbows and different things that we probably don't train as much. But I had to do them because I had to be able to evade his punches and then also be able to throw something. And unfortunately, orthodox sort of punches weren't going to get through when I had different stuff coming at me. So I sort of had to adapt to change my plan on the go and everything else. And my coaches were sort of saying to me, oh, where did they come from? And where did you learn that and all that? But it was stuff that we sort of do on and off, but not stuff that we spar and everything else, because when you're sparring, you're obviously working to the ideal scenario. When you're planning, you're always working to that ideal scenario, but then you're having to adapt on the fly and be able to adjust as you go to what's thrown at you. And I guess it's a lot like life. You can plan the ideal scenario and plan the dream of what everything's going to happen, but until things start actually coming at you and you start getting all the different obstacles that life throws at you, you can't sort of adapt your plans and adjust as you go. And I think that's the people that do really well in life are the ones that can sort of take what life throws at them and be able to adjust and adapt as they go.
Mate, I think that's actually really key. And I'm thinking along the same lines there. I was about to say that there's so many lessons in what you've just said for life, for business, for everything. There's that great saying, I think it's from the great Sylvester Stallone, no less, that it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, it's, that you can keep taking the hits and you can keep going. And I really do think that that's life. So once again, mate, I really want to applaud you and commend you for having that courage to get into the ring. I am going to pull you up on one thing, though. I do have one small bone to pick with you. You're going by the fighting name of Josh Dadbod Rimmington. And mate, I've seen photos of you. I don't think you qualify to call yourself dad bod. You're way too lean for that. And so if you want to see a real dad bod, mate, I'll send you a photo because I think you're on the skinny side for dad bod, mate. So, that's all that training coming in. We'll have to get a new name for you.
Yeah, that was, we actually did a lot of the marketing and graphics for the event and sitting in the office with the girls while they were doing up my posters and me just joking and throwing out names and them going with it. So
when you say
stuck.
When you say dad bod, I've got this image of Homer Simpson getting into the ring, right? So next time, if you're going to be the true dad bod, I want to see you really beef it up, get into your tidy whities like Homer, and then get into the ring, mate, because I think you're a bit too fit for dad bod.
Yeah. I did try it because I was fighting a heavier guy. I went out for pasture on the day and sort of tried to bulk up a bit, but it sort of didn't work as well as I wanted. But yeah, it was certainly a fun experience. Unfortunately, if you're training regularly, once you get into that regular training, it's hard to keep a dad bod.
Well, I think there's a good thing. Maybe there's a lesson that I should be doing a bit of boxing training. But anyway, we'll come to that. Mate, again, I just think it's a tremendous achievement and I salute you, mate. It's really awesome. To turn to your day gig, which is all around marketing, and that's what you're really well known for, and you've got an incredible pedigree in that space, of course. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was marketing and having a bit of 2020 vision, to use a pun, because 2020 is around the corner and I couldn't let the podcast go without referring to having a 2020 vision for your marketing. I wanted to just ask you a little bit about what you've observed over the year marketing-wise, what's worked, what hasn't worked, a bit of a state of the union, if you will, regarding marketing. What's been the experience from your end?
Yeah, so what we're really finding is that it really isn't changing too much. So as much as there's always going to be the bright, shiny objects that people are saying that are out there and this is happening and that's happening, the general concepts behind marketing aren't changing over the years. They haven't changed for the last 60 years of how to get someone to buy and sell. So it's funny that you constantly see all these people coming through and saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. But in the end, you have to actually know what your ultimate outcome is that you're trying to achieve. So with the 2020 vision, we're doing a lot of planning now with a lot of our clients, and we're looking back, okay, what's happened in the last 12 months? What have we been doing? So looking at what we're actually currently doing, and then looking at, okay, are we actually in line with what we actually want to do for the next 12 months? So I'll be asking a lot of questions. So I'm doing a lot of discovery type calls, both with clients and new people coming on, and sort of saying, okay, what are our goals for the next 12 months? What do you actually want to achieve in your clinic? And what are we currently doing marketing wise? And does that actually match up with what we actually want to achieve in the clinic? So we're sort of looking at, okay, what outcomes we want to achieve, and are we actually doing that? Because a lot of times we will find that, yes, we might be doing certain stuff, but it might actually line up with what we actually want to achieve in clinic. So if we want new patients, but we're focusing just on building our relationships with our old patients, that's not going to get the new patients.
No.
So what do we have to achieve to get the actual new patients? What can we do on the Google side? What can we do on the SEO side to actually be bringing new people into the clinic, as well as looking after those old ones with social media and different other stuff? But what can we do to actually bring in those new patients as well? So it's really about planning for that next 12 months and making sure that it's really in line with what marketing we're actually doing. So do we actually need to do new marketing, or do we need to double down on stuff that we've actually been doing that's working really well? And then actually looking back over the data and making sure that we're tracking certain stuff to say, okay, are we actually spending the money in the right places? Could we actually be moving that to something else? Do we need to be doing regular emails? Do we need to be doing more social posts? So really starting to look at what we're doing, because it really is about, okay, making sure that we are on the right path to achieve those goals, and that we're doing the right stuff. We're not just doing marketing for marketing purposes, because a lot of people say, okay, you have to do marketing, but so people will start doing different stuff, but then in the end, they don't actually know what they're trying to achieve in the end. They're just doing different things to stay busy. It's that whole thing of, okay, I might be doing stuff every day, but am I actually doing stuff that's actually making me better or actually making me get closer to my goals? So you sort of have to know what you're wanting to achieve, and then making sure that you're actually doing stuff regularly to actually achieve those things.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? Because everyone, certainly in the modern day, understands that marketing is an element of a successful dental practice. And the missing piece that you've highlighted there is making sure is that everything's in alignment. The business goals are clear. they're well-defined, and the marketing plan or strategies supplement and really support that, really. And I often see in the work I do, and I'm sure you see it often, is that everything's just higgledy-piggledy or ad hoc, and we've got a bit of SEO going on, we're running a couple of Facebook ads, got a bit of retargeting going on here and there, whatever it happens to be. But there's no unifying goal, there's no unifying strategy, there's no outcome in mind. How many new patients do we want? Are we trying to build an extra chair? Are we trying to bring on another associate? Are we trying to build a hygiene department? Are we trying to do a particular service? So I think that there's a lot in what you're saying there. And I guess probably part of what you've just said is it comes back to assessing where are we? How do we look back so we can plan to move forward? And when we're looking back, how do you assess the effectiveness of your marketing? Because a lot of people will be saying, I'm doing marketing. I don't know whether it's really working. I pay whoever it is a certain amount of money. I'm hoping the phone rings. What sort of things should people be looking at to assess the effectiveness of their marketing?
Yeah. So basically, you should be looking at key metrics for each type of marketing you're doing and be matching that across to anything that you're actually doing in clinic as well. So, for example, key metrics can be like on your SEO stuff that you do, your key metrics can be your rankings, so where you're actually ranking, but then they can actually be your organic traffic. So when you're looking at Google Analytics and you're looking at different traffic sources, you're actually organic traffic and how many people are coming from Google to your website, because then you can say, okay, that's directly coming from my rankings to actually achieve that as traffic. And then also on the SEO side, it can be your Google My Business data as well, because that's part of it now. So you're showing up in the maps and showing up in your SEO and actually looking at, okay, how many calls are coming from Google My Business, how many directions and everything else. Because that means people are finding you on Google and then actually coming across to either your website or calling you up or getting details about your business. On like the social media side, it really depends on what you're doing. So it can be stuff around likes and all that is generally more of a vanity metric. So it doesn't really show a direct result from it. So when people talk about, my page has got this many likes, well, how many people are actually engaging? How many people are calling? So generally you want to be looking at, okay, how many people are actually taking action? How many people are clicking from social media and going to your website? How many people are reading blogs if you're posting them? How many people are clicking call now directions? A good one now is how many people are actually clicking and messaging on Facebook and things like that. If that's your objection. So we've got certain clients that have said, okay, we're finding that we're converting people better if they're messaging us on Facebook. So we'll say, okay, we'll change the ads from going to the website to actually sending a message. And then we can actually clearly see how many people in the month have sent a message from the ads and then be able to track it back. So you basically want to identify, okay, what your end goal is, but what's the key metrics that you're actually using to track that end goal? So if you're trying to get more phone calls to the clinic, okay, how can we track it? Are we looking at the data coming from Google AdWords for how many calls? Do we have call tracking in clinic? Have we got new patient tracking? Different things like that. So it does come down to what tracking you have in place and then also identifying some key metrics rather than looking at everything. Because I find that a lot of people will look at all the data and then they'll just get confused by it and say, okay, I really don't know if this is working or not. But if you can identify a couple of key metrics that say, okay, yep, we're getting more calls, we're getting more traffic, we're getting this, then you can be able to clearly identify, okay, yes, this is working. And then actually then looking at it and saying, okay, then it's converting to new patients. It's converting to this. So you can start to look at all your data and actually match it up and say, yep, this particular marketing method's working. We can double down on it. We can do more of it. Or let's look at trying something else and tracking to see what we can actually achieve in that one. So it's really about knowing, okay, what are those ones? And that's something that your marketing person should be able to help you with as well, is start to identify some of those key metrics. And then obviously on a monthly basis, when reports are done, I know you helped us with our video reporting and all our clients now get video reports that come out with that. And that's where our project managers can talk about some of those key metrics and actually say, okay, you've got this many clicks, you've got this much traffic, your ads are costing this. So you can start to look at some of those key metrics and then correlate that back to the actual reports and different other stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. What I really love about that is that you've touched on this methodology, which we use as well, and it's called objectives and key results. So if the objective is bring on another associate dentist or, whatever it might be, how do we know that objectives achieved, or when these certain key performance indicators or key results have been achieved. So the objective as measured by the key results. And then following on below that is as achieved by these certain types of activities. What are the activities we need to be doing on a day-by-day basis to drive the key results to achieve the outcome? And I think that's really, really clever. And I think, again, not many people think about the outcome. Very few people do. And most people focus just on a couple of key performance indicators, not really knowing if they're the right key performance indicators. So I think that's going to be key. So one of the things that I've noticed as well in my own life, Josh, not just in marketing, but just generally, is we sometimes can create complexity. And what I've observed in some of the work that I do with other businesses as well is that complexity is a bit like ivy. It kind of creeps in without even you knowing it's there. Do you see complexity creeping into dental practice marketing where perhaps it's simpler to do something simple, I suppose?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in simplicity. So I find that a lot of these marketing companies are trying to complicate things. One, because I think they feel that it helps them sell themselves to someone because they feel that the business owner or the dental practice owner doesn't understand what's happening. So they try and make it as complicated as possible so that they feel that they've got this higher level to what they're doing to actually sort of feel that they've got it won over, basically, over their client, so that they feel that they're ahead of them, they're above them type thing, rather than sort of saying, okay, in the end, what we're trying to do is just get someone from A to B. It's not that hard. We just have to work out what the best way to do it is. So what if we want to get someone to ring up our phone number? Okay, what's the best way to do it? Okay, can we run some ads to get them to ring up the phone? Can we optimize some of the websites so that we're actually concentrating on getting more phone calls? So what they'll try and do, but then a lot of these people will try and make this into a really long plan and put you around 10,000 steps and say that you have to go through this funnel and that funnel and then click on a chatbot and then click on this and then do that and do this. In the end, it looks like they're doing a lot, but they're just making it harder for everyone else. So, and sometimes that works better for the business owners because they feel like, oh, okay, we got this report saying that they've got this many funnels and they've done this and they've done that and they've got this many images and emails and different other stuff. But all it is actual physical stuff that they're doing without actually achieving any end result. So a lot of the times it's easier just to send them from A to B and get the direct result, rather than sending them through 10,000 steps and then say, oh, yeah, hopefully we might get the result in the end at some time.
Yeah, look, I agree. And I think a lot of marketers try to baffle people with BS. It's a bit, I always feel it's a bit like the Wizard of Oz. You know, you don't want to pull back the curtain because you might see just what's behind there and it's a little underwhelming. And I really believe exactly what you say, Matt. I think that they're in the marketing space and there's a lot of people who, you know, when I was in this space, I'd go to an internet marketing conference and there was always someone on stage saying, go and talk to your local dentist. They're clueless and they've got money and they need your help kind of thing. I don't think dentists are clueless. Far from it. I think dentists are probably some of the more astute customers going around. Yes, they might have some money to spend, but what I find, like you, is they try and put it all in this special secret sauce black box kind of thing and pretend that only they've got the key to it. And marketing, in my view, mate, is really just getting a couple of fundamentals right. You know, who's your market? What's the message that you're trying to convey? What's the medium you're going to convey it on? And as you say, take them from A to B. And even yesterday I was watching Facebook, probably shouldn't have been, but there was someone on there who had subscribed to this funnel challenge. So I'm thinking, oh God, you know, and I know the product that they're using. I've used it myself, you know, as a membership platform. But there are so many better things that guy can and should be doing with his time than figuring out how to use that platform to build funnels. It's just, I'm on my hobby horse, so I'll get off that. But what I really liked what you said there, mate, was that the results are what matters. You know, the truth is in the results. And you can have the fanciest funnel in the world, but if the phone ain't ringing, it counts for naught. You know? And so just, I think, ladies and gents, if you're talking to your marketing guys or girls, it's the results that matter. And that's it. The proof is in the pudding. So
definitely.
So Josh, I want to ask you on that note then, in terms of simplifying, how does one simplify their marketing? How do you go back to basics? How do you assess, you know, whether you've got too much complexity built into it? How do you know?
Yeah, it's normally just assessing it. So what we regularly like A lot of my time these days is sitting on calls and actually talking to a lot of dentists and saying, okay, what are you currently doing? What are you currently doing in there? And really starting to map out, okay, what are you currently doing? And the common one I get from a lot of people is, okay, we're doing this with this person, we're doing this with that person, we're doing this with a lot of this person, we've got this website with this, we've got this with this, but we're thinking about doing this as well. And I get confused by it all. So let alone them being a dentist, that a lot of these dentists are working full-time and then trying to run a business. So for them to understand it, they don't. Most of the time they're getting the invoices from a lot of these people on a monthly basis. And in the end, they don't actually understand a lot of what's going on. So a lot of the times it is a lot better to simplify it and have it with one person and actually understand exactly what that person is doing for it by having a clear plan. So you're saying, okay, this is our plan. We're trying to achieve this many new patients, or we're trying to get this much traffic, or we're trying to promote this particular service and get this many leads. Okay, how do we do it? And really map out, okay, let's concentrate on getting our SEO and AdWords right rather than trying to do sort of everything at the moment. Once things starts going, yeah, definitely you can start doing a lot of multiple platforms. Like we've got a lot of clients that we do SEO, AdWords, we've got email campaigns going, we've got social media ads, we've got social media management going on. So we're doing everything. But generally what I suggest with a lot of new ones that come to me is, okay, let's get one thing right to start with. Let's start getting something right. And sometimes that might be getting the website right, because they might have had all these marketing methods going on
to a website that doesn't convert.
In the end, their website's too complicated, or it's not actually trying to achieve their ultimate goal. They might have spent a fortune on getting the website looking pretty and doing all the different other stuff, but it's not actually in line with what they're trying to achieve in clinic. It's not actually achieving those ones. It's not making it easy for someone to call. The biggest thing I see is that a lot of people feel that their website has to have all these bells and whistles with it, but don't realize that on average, people are spending about a minute on a website these days, a dental website.
Yeah.
So they're spending a minute, and you'll hear people say, oh, we'll get them to spend more time on there, put videos and different other stuff. Most people don't want to actually watch videos. Most patients don't want to sit and watch a dental video.
Nah.
So most time they want to be able to quickly see and feel that they trust you, and then get the details to actually contact you or take action of whatever they're trying to do. And so you've got that set amount of time to make it quick and easy for them to do that, to actually achieve it without having to complicate it and try and send them through multiple steps and try and get them to do everything. Because the longer that you actually try and do that, the more chance that they'll actually just go somewhere else.
Totally. You've got to make it easy to do business, right?
Yeah. So I think whatever you're doing, you really still have to be just looking at, okay, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Why am I actually trying to do this? Am I just doing it because someone's actually said that I need to do it? So it's always nice to think. And as business owners, we get bombarded every day with every new marketing thing, every new bells and whistles. We get messages on Facebook saying, hey, do you want to get 10 new patients this week? Do you want to get this? Hey, I've got this new service. It comes from every side. And sometimes easier as a business owner, you're like, oh, well, yeah, actually, that'd be really good. It's a bit tight this week. It'd be good to get 10 new patients. So it's very easy to fall into that trap. Oh, yeah, it looks good on that side, without actually realizing, okay, that's their way in. How are they actually going to achieve it? They've probably got no extra resources that someone else has. They're basically wanting to sign you up. So you really have to look at, okay, what your end goal is, what your overall goal for the business are, and then probably simplify it and make sure that you actually know what's going on as well in all your marketing efforts, rather than sort of having all these different fires all over the place without actually knowing what the actual end goal is.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I subscribe to a few things from time to time just to see what's going on in the marketplace, and almost daily I'm getting an email of, if you want 10 new patients today, click here, or if you want to hear how so-and-so generated 27 million patients in the space of 5 minutes, click here. And look, to be candid with a lot of that stuff, I just glaze over and think, wow, okay, that's interesting, but it doesn't go back and address the fundamentals. Because one of the things that I've observed, Josh, and this is perhaps again a little bit of a hobby horse, and I won't stay on it too long, is that my view is that a lot of practice owners are happy just to write the check and not think about their marketing. Like, fix it, Josh, fix it, whoever, here's the money, make it rain patience on me. And I just have the view, and not that I'm suggesting the dentist should suddenly, build funnels like I was criticizing earlier, But I do think practice owners at least need to have an understanding of the fundamentals of marketing. What is it we're trying to achieve? What are the strategies available to us? What are the pros and cons of each? What are the metrics that are going to be useful to know about for each of those things? I don't think anyone really needs to know how to build a backlink. I don't think anyone really needs to be a remarketing king or queen, but I do think that they need to be across it. And one of my frustrations, mate, is that there is an attitude of, not everyone, of course, but for some people, if I just pay someone a certain amount of money, it's just going to rain patience. And I think marketers prey on that.
Yeah, I've said it before that everyone wants this golden ticket to basically be able to achieve something. So, and they feel that, okay, yeah, I'll pay someone that's good at marketing to do it. And unfortunately, I've been thrown in that category multiple times because achieve results for guys like you and different people in the industry. And they say, oh, well, those guys are doing well. This guy must be the magic pill that I need to sort of all of a sudden make my clinic work.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it. And marketing is only one aspect of it. As much as I could get traffic to a website, you still need to have a good product and service and everything in your clinic. And you have to have the right people there doing the right stuff. So they have to have the right in-clinic systems, and then you have to have the right referrals type stuff and be able to recall the patients and do all the different other stuff that's in there. It's one thing to actually be able to get people calling the clinic. It's another to be running a good clinic and actually be doing a good job there.
Yeah, they do go hand in glove, don't they? And yeah, so one of the things I like about the work that you do, Josh, that I don't see many other people doing, and that is you educate your clients and you spend a lot of time trying to show them why you're doing things, how it works, and not expecting the dentist or the owner to be an expert in it, but just taking the time to educate them, because I think an educated consumer is a better consumer. And I really like the way you guys do that. You do it very well.
Yep.
Even though we've spoken about mastering fundamentals as being the key to excellence, which I think is really important to understand, there are some trends that do change from year to year. Do you see any particular trends coming down the pipeline?
There is still stuff that's happening that I'm still amazed with that I thought, okay, might have changed over time. So especially like the SEO and the Google organic stuff. So over time, we're constantly being told, okay, ads are going to take over and the organic side is not going to work. But I'm still seeing the trend of that organic traffic is still converting better than any other traffic that we send to a website.
Wow.
So coming organically from there. So we can spend as much on ads and everything else, but then the organic traffic is still converting a lot better. And I think a lot of that comes down to that people still hate to be sold to. They still hate advertising in general. They feel that people are pushing something on them if they're being advertised to. Whereas if they find something for themselves, they feel that they trust it more. So they trust someone if they're ranking well in Google versus if they see an ad for someone in Google. So it's a trend that constantly that people have been telling me that would change, but hasn't. It's actually find that it's actually increasing because people are seeing more ads now. So people are trusting the organic traffic even more because they feel that it is more truth rather than this evil advertising that's being advertised to them. So I've been doubling down on a lot of my SEO efforts and a lot of the stuff that I'm doing in Google just because I find that the quality of the traffic that I'm getting from it is a lot better. And I'm hearing it from clients all the time. Like I've had a client that came to us and they've got a really successful dental practice, multiple dental practices, but we started to do their SEO and do it right and everything else. And he said, Josh, we're getting more of these new patients and emergency patients that we never really got before. And it's because all of a sudden they're ranking well and they're ranking for the right terms. So they're starting to get these patients coming into them. Whereas previously they'd been spending a lot of money on marketing and their marketing had been focusing on orthodontics and different other high-end services. But they realized, okay, we need to get these patients in to start with. So a lot of the orthodontic patients have to come into you for a reason to start with. So a lot of the time they might come as having a chipped tooth and then realize, okay, they actually need more work to do there. So they're finding, okay, overall business is growing dramatically because they've changed their focus from, okay, yes, we're really good at all those specialty services, but people might not be actually looking for those specialty services and they're not searching for them as the first port of call.
Yeah.
So you sort of have to get there. And you'll find that a lot of the people, if they are actually looking for orthodontic services, they're generally going to go to the dentist they've already been seeing a lot of time anyway.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be going on looking for, they're not price shopping a lot of the time. They're not the thing. They've probably got a dentist. So you're probably better off getting them when they're looking for, when they've got a toothache or they've got an issue. Because if they're looking for a dentist at that point, they probably don't have a regular dentist. So yeah, really that's probably the biggest trend that I noticed. I feel that social media is still massive, but you have to also understand that it is social media. So I feel that the marketing side of it, when you're doing it, you have to understand that you still have to be very social and also treat it in a very social way and use it to build your audience and also maintain your audience. So we're using it in a lot of ways to talk to your existing patients and really maintain that audience that you've already got and then also build on that from there. So there is obviously probably going to be a lot of stuff that happens in the social media world. But I think the biggest thing that I always say with social media is realize that it is social, and as much as you can advertise on and everything else, people aren't on social media to be advertised to. So you have to also understand that when you're doing stuff and look at it in different ways of, okay, how can I talk to my audience in a social way? How can I educate them more on social platforms? How can I get content out in different ways? So how can I get videos, podcasts, images in different ways to actually stay in that social aspect rather than constantly trying to advertise to them?
Yeah. Again, some absolute pearls of wisdom there. Just coming back to email marketing, because I think we discussed this when we spoke last time, actually. I'm a fan. Where do you see that fitting into the overall marketing picture? Obviously, it's going to be easier to email to your existing database. Do you see a place for opt-ins and lead capture and having nurture sequence that way, or is it mainly for your existing patient base?
Yeah, so there is probably two scales of it. So we've started using it more in the last 6 months for existing patients because we know that it's easier to market to people that have already been to the clinic. So, and if you can actually keep those people interested, then it is. So emails in general, people are opening less. But saying that, if you've seen 10,000 patients over time and you've got a decent email list and different other stuff, you don't need a huge amount of people to be opening it and reading what you're doing to be able to get a good flow of new patients coming in just from an email. So, and it's not like it's an expensive exercise to do once you set it up. You work up some good graphics and you get some good content written and get it all set up the right way. You can have regular emails done in a good way. So I think there's definitely, you should be doing it regularly now for existing patients. But then, definitely for higher end services, I think it is a great way of educating as well. So there is a great way of being able to capture those leads and then send them more information about it. I don't think you need to overdo it, but definitely an email sequence when you're talking about dental implants where you can address the key points. So be asking yourself, okay, what questions would people have if they actually came in to see me about dental implants? Is it around price? Is it around procedure, how much it's going to hurt, the time it's going to take? And then build up an email for each point and address those pain points with them in an email sequence. And then you can also take that email sequence and make it into a download or something else that you might be able to give out to people, but be able to have it in an easy way where people can sort of get those regular emails, because all it will do is all of a sudden someone will see it and say, oh, well, that's answered my question. I know I can pay it off now rather than having to be out of pocket a large sum. Or I know that I'm not going to be in pain for a month on end if I go get my wisdom teeth removed or I get this done. So just being able to address some of those points that people would be asking but may not have thought to ask the question, or maybe just sitting back and thinking, oh, yeah, I don't want to do it because I heard so-and-so say it's too expensive.
Yeah. And I think it's a really good top-of-mind strategy for leads as well. So if they're thinking about an implant as an example of a service, they might take a while before they get around to doing it. But if you've got a nurture sequence that's going for a little while, you're going to be Johnny on the spot because they're going to have heard from you in that sequence. Interestingly enough, years ago when I was doing this myself, we used to build out some email sequences exactly like what you've described and made it converted really well. We were doing that for orthodontics particularly. We were doing it in whitening back in the day, which converted okay. But the orthodontics in particular, and I suspect implants would work very similarly. I think email sequences for that, I think they're good. That's just me, but yeah.
We did it for a really boring topic. We did one recently for root canals. And I would have thought that most of them would have, it wouldn't have been.
All the endodontists have suddenly said boring. Come on. All the endodontists are saying, hey, back up, fella.
I thought as a consumer that they wouldn't have wanted to receive emails about this and everything else. But the report back from the clinic was that they were seeing maybe 2 root canals a week.
Yeah.
And then they went to, after the email sequence, they were seeing 2 a day.
Wow. So what sort of open rates? I don't know if you can, I don't know, it's a vanity metric to an extent, but just so someone can know what's a reasonable open rate for an email to an existing patient base, what would that be?
It wasn't even high. I think it was only like 15 or 20% open rate on the emails, and then clicks were even through. So as I said, it doesn't have to be massive amounts of people actually receiving the emails and actually getting it to the thing, because a lot of them are going to junk. People are not going to pay attention to and everything else. I know how many emails I get on a daily basis.
Me too.
Whether or not I got one from a dentist, would I actually read it or not? It's thing. But the idea is obviously there is people and it gets your attention. So we're using them at the moment coming into Christmas and just identifying, okay, what would people need to know going into Christmas? Okay, so health funds.
Use it or lose it.
If health funds are retiring, let's send them some about that, but then also talk about what health funds we might be actually preferred providers or what ones we accept in clinics so they actually start to understand it. School holidays coming up. Okay, let's educate them a bit more about the CDBS and the Child Dental Benefit Scheme and all that sorts of stuff and help them understand a bit more about it and basically have the call to action of being able to book in or find out if you're eligible for the CDBS and things like that.
Yeah.
And then also having ones just about opening hours and what you might be doing and things over Christmas, because people might actually on Christmas break and they chip a tooth and want to know whether or not you're open and all that. So just having that information actually into an email to that stuff. So really identify some of those key things that might be happening over that period of time and then be able to get that into it. But get it into it in a way that you're actually getting some decent content to them as well to educate them a bit about the topic that they might not know. Because I think something came out about the Child Benefit Scheme recently that there was still about 50% of people that didn't actually know about it or didn't actually understand it properly, that they could actually get this public assistance in private practices. So there's a big opportunity there when people don't know about something, even though it's been out there a lot and everything else. People don't know about it, then if you're educating it, all of a sudden you become a lot higher level to them because you've given them that information, that important information that all of a sudden saved them thousands of dollars.
Totally. We also just at this time of year ran a White Christmas promo. So dreaming of a white Christmas, and it was a tooth whitening promo, right? And so there's so many things you could be sending out on email right now. You're only limited by your imagination. So I'd say get amongst it is my hot tip for the ladies and gents listening.
Yeah. People get sometimes scared with putting offers out there, but my big thing is where you have to look at all these big organizations, and there's a reason why there's a sale going on at Harvey Norman all the time, or there's this going on at the thing. The reason is because people like to feel like they're saving money or they feel like they're getting a special anyway. So if they're going to come into you and then they feel like they're saving some money, it's just going to make them a bigger fan of your clinic, or they might not have been going to come in and all of a sudden they see something and go, oh yeah, well, I might as well go do it now. So it actually gets them to take action rather than thing. And I think it's Black Friday when we're recording this. So we're seeing offers. Offers everywhere today. And I was listening to a marketer the other day where people were criticizing, oh, why would you do specials? You're just costing yourself money and everything else. No, well, what you're actually doing is getting people to actually take action. So people are constantly sitting there saying, okay, I'll think about it and everything else. And it's massive in the dental industry because obviously people are like, oh, no, I'll just leave getting my teeth cleaned to another day, or I'll get that fixed another day. But if you can actually get them to take action, then that's a big step to actually get them on the journey of getting them to come in regularly.
Totally. Mate, I agree 1,000,000%. Josh, we have covered a lot of territory today, mate. We have been uphill and down dale, and I really want to thank you, mate. I always enjoy our conversations because I always learn something. I always walk away from a conversation with you feeling better for the experience. So firstly, on a personal note, thank you, because I always enjoy these conversations. And on this one, we've been lucky enough to hit record on and share it for our listeners. Mate, before we do wrap up though, I want to just come back to the kickboxing because you did talk about taking action and planning out an action plan. You spoke about it in the marketing sense, and I know that you've put together a Cut the BS action planner. Can you walk us through that? Because the thing that I like about this is the Cut the BS part, because I think it is easy to overcomplicate things again. So what was the genesis behind that? What made you think of that?
Yeah, so basically I looked back on, so the last few years I've written a children's book, I've had multiple podcasts, I've done different things that I was telling myself, I can't do that. There's smarter people out there, there's a lot of people out there. So my mind was telling me the other stuff. And then I realized the reason I actually did it was because I just went, no, stop telling yourself that, Josh. You can do whatever you want to do and whatever you put your mind to it. When I actually just took the actions and did it, I achieved a lot in a short period of time. So it was really about cutting that BS in, that the stuff I was telling myself. And I was thinking BS in two ways. So obviously there's the BS that we're thinking of, but then the BS is actually a belief system. So the belief system of what we're actually telling ourselves that we can't do on a regular basis. So our mind is such a powerful thing, and we're constantly telling ourselves, okay, you can't achieve this, you can't do this. There's people that are smarter, people that are fitter, there's people that are better qualified to do that. And all those things in our head will, if we keep telling ourselves that, we won't achieve what we're trying to do. So we just have to cut that out and actually take those actions. I think there's a book by Mel Robbins, and she talks about the 5-second rule. And that's big because she counts down from 5 and just does something. And really that is the same concept is, okay, you're actually just turning your mind off and saying, okay, no, my mind's going to stop me from doing whatever I do. And you're actually just taking actions towards whatever you want to achieve. So it really was a big thing of, okay, yeah, I might not be smart enough. I might not be good enough to do this. But if I keep telling myself, I'm not going to do anything. So really just, I need to start taking actions and not being worried about failing, not being worried that I'm not good enough or that what I do might not be actually good enough. People think, okay, yeah, I have to wait for that perfect moment to achieve something. If you're constantly waiting for that perfect moment, you're not going to ever actually achieve something. So I created that in mind. So it's a 300-page hardcover planner, looks really nice. And the idea behind it is it covers a few areas. One is ideas, because I'm a big idea person, that I'm constantly having ideas, but I know that I can't actually go after every idea at once. So there's ideas pages where you can actually jot down those ideas, but then come back to them at a later date and then take the actions on those particular ideas. There's an action contract, which is really about actually setting something in motion. So one of the things that I noticed when, especially with my kickboxing fight and other things I did, I actually put it out to the world that I was going to do this thing. I said, I'm going to have a fight. And once I actually put it out there, you're getting that positive peer pressure. You might get a few people that say, oh, why are you doing that? You're an idiot or everything else. But you'll put it out to the world that you're going to do that. And all of a sudden, you have to do that. So my kids are a big thing in this. I'll tell my kids something, because if I tell them something, I'm going to go do it, because I don't want them to feel that I've said something that I'm not going to actually do. So putting it out there to the world's big, but then actually not understanding the things that the reasons you don't think that you might not achieve it, so that you actually acknowledge that there's some fears and everything else there. So, and then actually just stopping those and listing out, okay, what do I have to do to achieve it? So I've kept everything fairly simple, fairly straight to the point. There's daily planner sections in there, but then there's something called a brain dump, which I use regularly. So I use a brain dump when I'm feeling overwhelmed with all the things I have to do. So the brain dump is actually where you take everything that's on your mind and you just write it all down. And then actually what you do is you work out, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to delegate? And what am I actually going to delete? So those 3 steps, you're actually working out, okay, what are the clear actions I need to do? Who can I get, like what steps can I actually get other people to do? And what do I actually not need to do, but they're taking up space in my mind to make me feel overwhelmed. So I've kept it all pretty simple, but some really clear pages around things that I actually feel that actually make it easier for me to achieve some clear goals.
Nice work, mate. That's fantastic. I think that's going to be a really useful tool. So people no doubt will be listening to this going, okay, that sounds awesome. I could do that. It's nearly the end of 2019. I'm getting close to 2020. I want to start the year with a really good, hard run at the start. Where do people grab a copy of the planner, mate?
Yeah, so it's on all the online bookstores, but there will be a landing page as well, which I'll give you the link. I think it's actually simple. It's cutthebsactionplanner.com.
Okay.
So I'll give you the link and people can buy them direct as well.
We'll stick it in the show notes.
And if they buy them direct, they get some videos as well that show them certain pages and show them a bit of the thoughts behind certain pages and how to use them and things like that. So, yeah.
Good work, buddy.
Quick and to the point, but it works. It's all stuff that I use and stuff that I found works well.
Nice work, pal. That's excellent. Now, mate, you've been incredibly generous today with your time, your knowledge, your insights, and I want to say thank you. As I said earlier, I always walk away from these conversations richer for it, and I'm sure our audience has today as well. So from all of us here, mate, thank you. You've been a wonderful part of our community, at Savvy Dentist for a while now. You support a lot of our clients, and I really appreciate the care that you provide them and me on a personal level. And you're not just very good at what you do, you're a tremendously nice dude, and I'm really grateful to count you as a friend as well as a colleague, mate. So thank you. And it feels a little bit premature to be saying this, but happy Christmas.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I feel the same way every time we chat. I always get so much out of it.
Yes.
And I really appreciate both the friendship and our business relationship and everything else that we have.
It's great fun, mate. All right, buddy. Well, you take good care and we'll catch up on the other side.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green. For more free tools and resources, join the free Facebook group. Visit drjessegreen.com/Facebook. And for more episodes, visit drjessegreen.com/savvydentist.